Let me start, of course, by congratulating all the women in this room. Absolutely fantastic. My congratulations. It's an honor to be here today in front of you, making you the top 100 British women, making such an incredible contribution to the automotive industry. Women are not always so good at celebrating our own achievements. That's why events such as this with the backing of Autocar and SMMT are crucial to ensuring that we recognize the outstanding contribution that we women make. But don't take my word for it. Companies with the best record for promoting women into senior positions are up to 69% more profitable, according to the Harvard Business Review. McKinsey says that companies with senior female representation deliver 55% higher earnings. And McKinsey adds that the global economy would be boosted by more than 26%, or $28 trillion, if women played an equal role to men in the workforce. Equality really does matter. It matters for fairness, but also for business. All of us, from the top of our companies through to the front lines, make an enormous difference to the profitability, innovation, culture, and success of the businesses we work for. As a result, we make a huge difference to the strength of the global economy. So looked at through the cold, hard lens of economics, there's no debate to be had about the benefits of women working in our sector. But as we're all too aware, the diversity we aspire to and the equality we deserve is not always apparent. In business, we remain a minority. And in engineering discipline, that minority position is even starker. So today, what I'd like to do is just share a few lessons I've learned through my journey as an engineer at Ford. And I'd also like to leave you with a few thoughts on what I believe we could do to increase the opportunities for women, and as a consequence, the opportunities for the businesses that we work on. So first, a little bit about my journey. Now, it may surprise some of you to learn that I actually began my journey at Ford in what in the U.S. we would call a trailing spouse. I literally followed my husband, so I was trailing, who took a career opportunity at Ford. Fortunately, it looked like it worked out okay. So now we all aspire to a world where it doesn't matter where you come from, and the path you take should be defined by the journey you set for where you're going. And throughout my career at Ford, I've certainly had the opportunity to build and to define my own journey. And this has enabled Ford to get the best out of me. So from my perspective, getting the best out of me, which is of course what any employer wants to do, has been built on three things: confidence, love, and risk. And I'll explain all three in a little bit. We all know that confidence matters, confidence in our ability to contribute, to make a difference, and to succeed. My confidence was founded in engineering, technical expertise that I developed at college that laid the foundation for my work life. When I joined Ford, I already had a pretty strong technical base. In my early years, I spent a great deal of time seeking out positions that gave me stronger foundations and greater depth, to be an expert and to know a bit more. This gets at the heart of one of the questions that face women in a very male-dominated field. Do women need to be better than their male counterparts to succeed? I don't think we need to be better than our male counterparts to succeed, but I do think we put a self-imposed level of perfection on ourselves because we believe that we do. I always felt the need not to make a mistake, deliver beyond expectations, to know all the answers. And here's a quick example, an easy example of perhaps why. So imagine, and I'm sure this might not be a stretch for some of the women in the room, that you're in a meeting with 15, 20 people, but you're the only woman. If a man says something that's not quite right, maybe doesn't follow or make sense, in a few minutes they'll forget about it, and you may not even remember exactly who said it. But when you're the odd one out, the minority in the room, it's much more memorable. Hence, you work harder to get it right. Yes, it is harder, and you have to fight harder to be better. But if, in fact, we are better, just because we have to be, then we should, in fact, be more confident. And in today's world, with the right support, this means we have the opportunity to go further. So that takes me to my second point about love, and I'm going to use a British expression here. This is not some woolly point about love and support that we get beyond work. No, this is about love of the job, loving what you do. So think about it. You're going to go to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, maybe 52 weeks a year. I'll let you figure out how many years you want to put in that. And I'm not saying this to depress you. It's just a very, very long time that we spend at something. And if you love what you do, it won't feel like work. You'll enjoy it and you'll do well at it. And when you do well at something, you get noticed and you get the opportunities. So that brings me to the third area that I mentioned, which is possibly the most important one. That's about risk. I've never backed away or been afraid of taking risks. It's been an invaluable facet of my career. But maybe I'll illustrate this one with a personal example. This is actually my second tour of duty here in Europe. I was in Europe in 2000 as the quality director for Ford of Europe. Well, I hadn't been here very long when an opportunity opened up back in the US, and that was the opportunity to run our automatic transmission organization. Now, at that time, and this is definitely an understatement, that division was not performing, let's say, to the same high standards that other Ford divisions were performing to. So my boss said, and he was not commenting on my abilities. He just questions anyone's ability to turn that organization around. He didn't think it was worth the risk. His actual words to me, because I never forgot them, were, "You can take that job, but you'll fail." It's always encouraging. He wasn't the most positive guy you'd ever run into. We'll leave it at that. But again, he wasn't talking about me personally. He said, "This is hopeless. You'll never, you can't do it." But there were a couple of things that swayed my decision. Obviously, I did take the job. First of all, powertrain was my technical sweet spot. Automatic transmission's part of powertrain. So it was the foundation for my confidence. I knew what I would be doing, and I knew I had the skills for the job. As my boss said, the view was nobody could turn it around. Well, that sounds good to me, because if I get there and I can't turn it around, hey, you guys waited too long. There's nobody that could have done this, right? But if it did work out, well, then I would certainly make an impression. So having strong expertise, good leadership skills, and knowing a fair amount about the organization, I took a calculated risk. Just put a simple plan in place. Not rocket science. I just made sure I brought in a few people from the outside, get a fresh perspective, changed the organization to focus on the customer first, instilled a mantra of technical excellence, something that's definitely necessary in transmissions, and then let the engineers just get on with their job. It worked, and I did get notice. It was risk, but it was based on confidence in an area that I loved. So through that process, I also had worked out a few other ways to look at things. First of all, I had the perspective that if it didn't work out, I just assumed I'd have the option to go somewhere else, do something else. That gives you the ability to take on bigger challenges and take on bigger risks and be a little more honest in the way you deal with people. To give people a more honest opinion and assessment of things, not telling bosses what you think they want to hear, has also served me very well in my career. But today is not about me. It's about celebrating the talent of today and how we can use the talent, all of you, to change our industry to deliver a more equal and consequently a more profitable future. Within this mix sits the most stubborn challenge for women, the chronic shortage of women in engineering. Now, the good news is engineering is a great field once you've chosen it. Engineers are very data-driven. They evaluate you by how good you are as an engineer, how well you deliver. So that's all positive. But engineering for women isn't plain sailing. Getting the match with a company culture really matters. You want to find a company that supports you, that has the management and leadership ability to nurture its best talent no matter what. Certainly for me at Ford, I found a company that wanted to give me the chance to demonstrate my capability and prove myself to show what I could do. Corporate culture matters a great deal, but when it comes to engineering, if we're to secure a better future, then society as a whole has to play a role. Women are underrepresented in engineering because young women choosing their careers don't aspire to engineering. We have to get more women in, and to do so, more young girls and young women interested in engineering. There's also a slightly unique situation in the UK that I'd like to highlight. In every other country I've worked in and dealt with engineers, there's a bit of an odd thing in the UK. People in Britain sometimes still associate engineering in the auto sector with a car mechanic. And I want to preface this by saying there's nothing at all wrong with being a car mechanic. It's fine. But it's not in engineering. Everywhere else I go, when people talk about careers, they typically they think doctor, lawyer, engineer, highly skilled, highly respected, and highly paid vocations that carry people through life. Somewhere along the line, however, in the UK, the value of the skill of being an engineer has gotten a bit lost. So for a young woman considering her career choices, thinking on a car mechanic probably doesn't quite cut the mustard with her and her peer group. So this brings me to a wider point. If we're going to change the culture and get more women joining us, they need to have something they can aspire to. So clearly it's up to all of us in this room to showcase the talents that we have, to break through the proverbial glass ceilings, to provide young women with a true picture of the scale, opportunity, and frankly, the sheer glamour of what we do. So think about it. We work with the world's best designers. Our products are in every country and every city around the globe. Stars vie to be in our adverts. Politicians demand to be photographed in our advanced engineering facilities. Our cars are sought out by the world's most imaginative film producers. And think about this one. Google and Apple even want a part of what we have. All right? This industry is far beyond a car mechanic. It's a technology and a glamour with global appeal. And we make the ultimate consumer good. Yet, we fail to inspire young women to want to join us. Well, I say we have a responsibility to fix this. Just imagine how incredible the next generations of automobiles would be if we tapped into all that latent, brilliant female talent around the world. However, it isn't just about us as an industry doing our bit to tell our story better to young women. This is a cultural challenge that goes beyond us. Now, I'll put a disclaimer on the following. This is my observation and my thoughts after spending up to 10 years now in heavy engineering fields and in the automotive industry. So if you think about TV, think about it in the UK, US, what are young women watching that shape their cultural norms? Because what they're watching does shape their cultural norms. We see an awful lot of shows with very smart female lawyers, doctors, even and detectives doing great work, intelligently, insightfully, powerfully. Now think a minute about engineering. Think about even automotive-specific programs. How many of these programs are showing articulate, glamorous, well-dressed, and successful women living their dreams with exciting and amazing lives? I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer one, but there is an engineering program that's extremely popular, and I know it's popular in the UK because I watch it back in Germany there. It's The Big Bang Theory, so I know a lot of you know it. It certainly hits the mark in terms of comedy, but probably not as defining an engineering cultural role model for young women to aspire to. So if you're a young woman and you're watching these shows, which ones are you and your friends going to aspire to? Can any of us name the glamorous automotive engineer portrayed in film, TV, or even in books? Now, I know we can't solve that particular problem, but I do think that is an influence on getting women into our industry. So as I close, I want all of us to reflect on the success that we have seen, but also on the critical issues I raised as I began the speech. Why does equality really matter? It's not just about morality and fairness. Our business's future depends on it. The voice of the consumer must be in the heart of our products. And half the world's consumers are women. Half the world's talent is women. Our success is predicated on freeing this talent. It makes it better for business. And if we don't do it, we can be sure some other industry is going to do it. We all have a responsibility in helping to achieve this. Now, I am definitely in the last phases of my career. The baton for this responsibility has to be passed to all of you. You need to do your bit. Be a visible role model. Mentor those who may aspire to a career in automotive. All of you are living proof that we can be better and that we can make a difference. This is about attracting and releasing the incredible talent around us, women across the globe who, if they choose to join our sector, have the skills, ambition, and ability to transform the industry that creates and manufactures cars, the greatest consumer product ever made. Thank you.